Today's broadcast is going to be different in a couple of ways. One, it's on gold and silver. Normally I'll do things on the economy or the stock market. This time it'll be precious metals. Now I want to disclose to you, I am not an expert. I'm a regular guy. I've been buying precious metals for 30 to 35 years, probably closer to 35. And so I'm experienced from that standpoint, but I'm not a dealer. I don't sell them. I only buy them for my own consumption. So I have been influenced not by people who sell them, but by people who understand them. And so I'm going to cover two topics. And the other thing about this is it's going to be a little longer. So I think it's going to be, because I haven't recorded it yet, I think it's going to be a little over an hour. If you are an expert in precious metals and you know a lot about them, you may not find something new, but you may. I learned things that I did not know, I'll be honest with you. But if you don't know, you're not an expert, and you want to learn more, you want to start buying some silver or some gold, and you're looking to learn, I think you will learn a lot. I learned a lot. And so I went out and I tried to gather videos, and I'm going to play those for you, and the content is going to take you past an hour, I think. I will also share with you my views on what I buy, why I buy it, I won't tell you where I store it, but I'll give you some ideas on where to store it. And I will tell you where I don't store it. I don't store it in my house, I know that. And, the buying gold versus silver, just a lot of information. And I will, again, share my own views and give you some content that I think was extremely helpful to me. And I will also admit that I've shifted my position. I only buy silver, and I shifted my position. I think I'm going to start buying gold, some gold. I'm not going to get rid of any silver. I may even buy more silver, but I'm going to add some gold to it. And when I get to that part, I will tell you why. So I think you're going to find this extremely informative, and I do look forward to sharing it with you. So, hi, my name is Ben Reppond. Welcome to my YouTube broadcast. Today is November 12th, 2024. Okay, so let's get into it. Should you buy gold or should you buy silver if you want to accumulate precious metals? I bought both, but I did, when prices got really high in 2011, I did sell both. And then I rebought them. I sold silver around $35 an ounce. Well, that was good, bad, or indifferent. That's what I did. I rebought them, and I think my average price in buying is around $17 per ounce. It went on down from there for a while, but that was my price. And of course, now it's above $30. And then I bought gold. My average price on silver was around $8 back in the late 80s. My average price on gold was around $400. But then, when it went crazy high, I sold them, and again, I think silver I sold for around 35, and it went all the way up to in the 40s. I think intraday it went as high as 48. Gold, I don't remember. And less than 2,000, I believe. So I like silver because it has intrinsic value, and I plan to use it if we ever need it. I plan to use it to barter with. Now, I hope we don't end up in a barter economy someday. I hope that. But that's why I got it. And I'm not selling it. I'm hanging on to it. Some people look at it as an investment, and it is being talked about as an investment. Oh, my silver is up, my gold is up. Gold, they're feeling like, oh, I bought it here and it's worth this. I don't look at mine that way. I don't care if it's up or down. All I care about is if we are in a situation where I need it to survive, it would be useful. It has intrinsic value. In other words, it has value in and of itself, and that value is generally agreed upon worldwide. Another reason I buy silver is because the government confiscated gold in 1933, and they set the price. And as soon as they had confiscated all, or at least what they thought was all of the gold, they raised the price of gold. But they never touched silver. Silver also has a large industrial application in, of course, dentistry, but also in conducting electricity and various forms of, manufactured products that need it to conduct electricity. And finally, this is not my sole reason, but I think it's interesting. Warren Buffett, back in the late 90s, bought 129 million ounces of silver, and he still owns it. He has not sold any of it. He doesn't own gold, just silver. So those are my reasons. Now, as I'm listening to these videos, I began to become more sympathetic with gold. Gold is at an all-time high, or near it, and it continues to go higher. It's more stable in its, the price movement and so forth. Big banks and central banks own gold, and they own a lot of gold. They're institutional buyers, and that helps create stability in the price of gold and stabilizes the demand for it as well. It is more easily stored and transported. The cost of gold is about 90 times more than silver per ounce. And so, you get a little bit of gold would be a lot of silver. And the thing that I began to think about for me personally was, rather than think of it as per ounce, and, in this case, $3,000 or so per ounce, and that could go to 5 or 10 or 20, in a very bad situation, and not useful for bartering purposes for everyday things that you need. But you can get it in 1/4 of an ounce or 1/10 of an ounce. Still, it is difficult to barter with in those quantities. And the other reason is diversification. It'll just give me a little bit of diversification out of silver, which is probably not a bad thing. The other thing I want to comment on is Dave Ramsey. So, he has a big audience, and a lot of people listen to him. He is useful in helping people get out of debt and budget. I'd say those are his two strengths. I think his investing advice is terrible. It's not as bad as Jim Cramer, but it's up there. Even those people he sells your name to, if you call in or contact him for investment advice, he'll sell your name and your email address to people who pay, the last I heard, is $180 per name. So he has made, according to my calculation, tens and tens of millions of dollars by selling people's names to various people, not just investment people. And so, I don't know, he doesn't disclose that. I don't like that. And so the people he's selling your name to, they want to sell you investment products and make high commissions, which those people do, typically. Most of them do. Again, they don't disclose that either. It's in the fine print somewhere, but that's not usually part of the conversation. So if you buy gold and silver, I don't know if this is his motivation, but it seems to me that it might be. If you buy gold and silver, he promotes that. These people are not going to get all of your money to charge you a high commission on. So I think it's a hidden agenda, and I don't think it's correct. There's a lot of people who are very smart investment managers. Among them are Stanley Druckenmiller and Jim Rogers and, Jim Rickards, who's not a money manager, but he's a well thought of guy. Lots of people like that. I could name a long list of them. And they do believe in it. And why do all the big banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all these, Why are they accumulating it? And all of a sudden, Dave Ramsey's smarter than they are? I don't think so. So anyway, beware of who you listen to. Okay, I'm going to play this clip. So it was a long introduction. So I'm going to play this clip, and this will give you some background on which you should purchase, gold or silver. Take a listen.
And in this video, we're talking about investing in gold versus silver in the year 2024. Which one is right for you? Let's get into it. So if you're just wanting some stability in these crazy times, if you're looking for a place to put your money that's not in cash, it's not bonds, it's not stocks, then I would look at gold first. Gold is the tried and true. This is one of those places where you can store your wealth and you don't have to be worried about it being inflated away. Gold is going up right now because the dollar is going down and people are worried about the dollar going down further. So to protect themselves, they're putting their money into physical gold. Now, when it comes to silver, silver will offer you much of the same protections. However, silver, because it is an industrial metal as well as a precious metal, we see these big swings in price. And right now, gold is taking off, but silver has not started taking off yet. So if you're able to stomach some volatility, some of these price swings, then I would say silver is probably the metal for you, because ultimately I think it has more potential. Like I said earlier, gold is already at its all-time high. Silver is only at about half of its all-time high. Also, if you're just starting out and you don't have that much money to invest, I would highly recommend going with silver because it's much more affordable than gold. I mean, silver is about 90 times cheaper than gold when you look at the price per ounce. You can pick up an ounce of silver for under $30 right now. There are premiums when you buy physical metals on both silver and gold, and the premiums on silver are slightly higher than that of gold typically. However, because the price to acquire 1 ounce is so much lower, it definitely makes silver the more affordable option. When I first started stacking, I was only buying silver. This was my only metal I was stacking, and I was okay with that because I was putting my wealth in a safe place, I was saving money, preserving my buying power, and it wasn't breaking the bank. In fact, I had hundreds and hundreds of ounces of silver before I even started stacking gold. So there's nothing wrong with starting out with silver because the price is lower. This brings me to my next point. If you're a heavy investor and you have a lot of money you want to put into precious metals, silver is much heavier than gold when it comes to the amount of value you can store. You're going to have to buy a lot more silver to store the same value as you would if you were just buying gold. Gold, again, 90 times more expensive than silver, so it's much more dense. Also, an ounce of gold is about half the size as an ounce of silver. These are both 1 ounce, but obviously the silver coin is much bigger than the gold coin. So if you just have a small safe that you're going to be using to store your metals, and you do want to put a lot of money into precious metals, then perhaps gold is the better choice for you. Also, if you ever need to grab your metals in a hurry and take off, perhaps throw them in a bag or something like that, you can easily carry lots of wealth when it comes to gold. Silver, on the other hand, I mean, if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in silver, that's going to take a long time to move. So these are all things you need to consider when you're picking which metal to invest in. Now we come to perhaps one of the most important things to consider when choosing between gold and silver, and that is, why are you buying them in the first place? What is your motivation for picking up precious metals? Are you just wanting price exposure, a safe place to store your wealth, or are you wanting to perhaps barter with it someday in a collapse? If we do have an SHTF scenario or a dollar collapse, for example, and you're needing to barter with your precious metals, it's going to be much easier to barter with your silver coins than it would be to barter with your gold coins. And again, the reason is because there's so much value stored in these gold coins, you're only going to be able to use them for large transactions. But your silver coins you could use to barter for everyday items. So if you're worried about having to barter in the future, you absolutely should have some silver on hand. Now, there's no reason you can't stack both precious metals, buy both gold and silver. In fact, that's what most stackers do. They put some of their wealth into gold, some of their wealth into silver, and you just have to decide how much to put into each one of them. Most people, when they look at investing in precious metals, they think about these as their long-term investment. This is their savings. This is their insurance for when everything else goes wrong.
Okay, next I'm going to play another piece. This one is, again, not too long. And it's a little bit dated. So the numbers that he's giving on prices this was done about 7 months ago. So they're below where the prices are today. And he's talking about them hitting all-time highs at that time. Well, here we are, higher prices, still hitting new all-time highs. And the one thing that I think about buying gold and silver, there are people who buy exchange-traded funds, stocks, ETFs, with GLD for gold and SLV for silver, and there are some others. And they use that as a surrogate for participating in that as an investment. Again, I don't look at it as investment, and I don't want paper. And the reason I don't want paper, GLD or SLV, is because if I'm trying to protect this against the decline or the collapse of the dollar, why do I want something denominated in dollars? Think about it. This guy makes a case. He's a dealer. He's a precious metal dealer. And he makes a case for people who are kind of entering in this market or just want some protection for, bartering purposes. He makes a case for junk silver. Now, junk silver is called junk silver because it's just basically coins, dimes and quarters and half dollars. You could say silver dollars, but usually it goes up to dimes to half dollars. And they sell it by the weight. And, so you get a bag, and that bag has a constant weight to it, and the cost of a bag is known. And so if you're buying a bag of that, nothing wrong with that. It's about 90% silver, and they're dated. The coins are dated pre-1965, which is when they would put basically 90% with 10% filler. And today it's much less. And so when you get junk silver, you're getting pre-1965 coins only for their weight, not for their collector value. He adds something that I thought was interesting, and those are called gold backs. And they look like they're about the shape of a dollar, but they're very thin, they're razor thin, and they're actually gold. And so you can buy those, and he quotes a price of $6.75 a piece. I don't know, the price is probably $7 or higher now because of the last 7 months. But it's an interesting way to own it in a very affordable way. And it's 1/1000th of an ounce. That's how thin they are. And but they're very pretty though. So if you're interested and you want to, somebody doesn't have a lot of money to spend, or they want to just have something that's not as heavy or whatever, it's not a bad idea. And or you could split it. You could buy some silver, some gold. And again, he discusses that. Silver is a better value, and he explains why it's a better value right now based on its long-term pricing history. Gold is at an all-time high. Silver is not. Silver is half of its all-time high, and not even its all-time high. It's all-time high in the last 20 years. And of course, silver is better to barter with, and gold is more easily stored and transported. So take a listen to this.
Let's say I walked in with $5,000 in my pocket, and I asked you, what should I buy today? What would you recommend?
I have to start asking you a bunch of questions, and some of it gets a little personal, only in that I want to know, why are you investing, and what do you think you want to do with it in the future? Mm-hmm. And some people just say, I just want to round out my portfolio with tangible assets. Those people I'm going to steer to this showcase. We have silver and gold in even increments, meaning full ounce, half ounce, quarter ounce, easy arithmetic. easy to figure out the value of your holdings just by looking at the spot price. If someone's more oriented towards, I'm a prepper, I think bad things are in the offing in the future, I want to be able to barter with what I have, I draw them back over to the constitutional, or as people call the junk silver, because the increments are small enough to do small things if necessary, or combine it in big bags and do big things. And the other thing about this is, for those who know silver, they recognize these coins. I mean, this is a dime. That's a quarter down there. There's half dollars. We know what those are. We just need to know that they're silver based on when they were minted.
Right. Or you look at the edge, obviously, you can tell.
Yeah. But it comes down to, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, don't be in a hurry to buy if you're not sure what you want. Take some time to figure out why you're doing it and what's best for you. I'll take your order anytime, but I really want it to be good for you.
Yeah, and speaking of barter, obviously we look at junk silver, one of the best things you could barter with. But if someone wanted to barter with gold, for example, you can't really do it with like the big coins. But what about the gold bags?
Well, just to address the big coins, I mean, if you're going to barter for something big, I suppose that'll work. But even a 10th ounce of gold right now is trading in the $280 range. And because of that, it looks small. But, you know, if you want a case of water or a can of beans, as I like to say, this is way too much money.
Way too much, yeah.
But if you're hungry enough, you might do a foolish thing and trade a small piece of gold for very little to eat. Goldbacks then bring up an opportunity to trade with gold and yet have something that's small enough to buy something small. Right now, these are selling for $6.75,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. And it's truly in there. It's not backed by gold, it is gold. But what this does is gives you something tangible, something not microscopic to hold, and yet allows you to still have something to barter with that has some value.
Yeah, I think if people want to barter, sometimes it's good to have gold and silver that you could use because whoever they're bartering with is going to prefer one or the other. So it's nice to have options.
It is. And I wasn't a big proponent of these initially. I thought it was kind of silly, honestly, but so many people ask me for them, and they are beautiful. But the more I thought about barter and how there's no way to do a small increment in coin or bar form of gold, these started to really look attractive to me.
Yeah, and they are beautiful designs themselves.
Yeah. Morning, Adrian.
Morning.
What's up, Adrian? Good
Hey,
to see you, my
good to see
friend. We were talking about metals on the rise. Seems like every day they continue to go up. So I posed the question to Harry. I said, if I walked in with $5,000 and asked, okay, what is the best thing I should be buying? What would he direct me towards? I'm curious. You weren't here for that. So what would you recommend I buy with $5,000?
I'd say to try to go right in the middle. Get, half in gold and half in silver.
Okay. Half gold, half silver. And what type of silver would you recommend?
I'd go, if somebody's just starting out, I'll ask them, what are they trying to achieve? If they're just trying to get into some silver, some weight, I'd go with the rounds.
There you go.
That's what the Buffalo rounds. They're always popular, and they're pretty liquid, and that's something I would recommend.
Yeah, that's basically what you were saying, Harry.
Yeah, we sell thousands of Buffalo rounds in particular. I mean, rounds in general, but in particular, Buffalo rounds.
Yeah, those are one of my favorites.
Yeah, and they're recognizable. They're becoming almost like a currency because they're so recognizable. And it's based on a classic coin design, the Buffalo nickel. And so it's just recognizable even to non-coin people.
Now, I didn't really ask you specifically, but you pointed me to this case and said, all right, I'd probably steer them over here. Would you recommend half gold, half silver with the 5,000, or are you heavier on the silver? What do you think?
I tend to be heavier on the silver because I'm always pointing to this board and saying to people, we're in uncharted territory on gold. I mean, we're again at an all-time high right now. And yet silver is still about half of its all-time high. And so I still think silver is lagging behind the excitement of gold. And because of that, it's a better bargain right now. Mm-hmm. Gold is not a bargain right now, although this could be a bargain next week if things keep rising, but it's at an all-time high. I mean, you're buying at the top, whereas in silver, you're buying half of the top.
Yeah, and if you look at the inflation-adjusted numbers for silver, It was up to around $160 an ounce back in the 80s. We got a long way to go before we get to that.
We talk about portability here, and gold is more portable than silver. And so one of the reasons I ask people, why are you doing this? I mean, I have people say, well, I've got a go bag already packed. I'm ready to head to the hills if I have to. Well, if you're heading to the hills, you're not taking silver with you. It's too heavy to bring you that kind of wealth. And so those are the people I say, got to talk about gold.
Yeah.
Because if you want to get away, get up and go fast, silver's not the way to go.
Next comes the question of where to store it. People, and they discuss all kinds of places where people would store it. And that you need to tell someone that you're close to, a family member preferably, where you stored it, someone that you can absolutely trust, because let's say that you died and you forget to tell somebody, or you died in an accident suddenly, they're not going to know where it is. So unless you tell them. So you want it safe, you want it where no one can get it as much as possible. The kinds of options are, you could put it in a bank. I do not recommend that. Gold or anything that's in a safe deposit box in a bank that is not insured, and the government has a history of having confiscated the contents of bank vaults. So just so you know that. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying it has happened. You could do a safe at home and a smaller safe. That's not recommended, and we'll get into that later. You could use a gun safe. It's probably better. You could bury it in the backyard in a can. There are people who actually do that. And in my opinion, I would rather do that than to put it in a bank. It sounds corny, but that's, but don't forget where it is. And remember to tell somebody that you trust enough that, it's going to be there tomorrow. You could get a storage locker. You drive up and down the highway, you see these storage lockers. That's one place you could put it. That's pretty safe because that's double locked. The entrance into the storage locker area as well as into your own particular storage locker. Or you could do some combination. You could take a safe, maybe a gun safe, depends on what size you want, but a gun safe, store it in there and put that inside the storage locker. Now you have 3 levels of security into the facility, your unit, and the safe itself. So take a listen to this, and I think you'll find it helpful. It's a good overview. This is not highly detailed, but it's a good overview of storage options.
So you've bought your bullion, you're very excited, but you need to answer a very important question, and that's, how do I store this stuff? Here at Bullion Now, we've dealt with everything from buried in a backyard to in high security vaults. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the options when it comes to storing your precious metals. Before we continue, a quick disclaimer. With all methods of storage, there are components of risk involved, and please allow this to just serve as one piece of information that you can add to your research. We encourage you to complete all of your own research and do your due diligence when dealing with your own precious metals. Without further ado, let's continue. Often when we're discussing the storage of precious metals with our clients, at home in a safe is a popular option for a number of people. Now that has some advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, if you're stacking something like silver, you need to bear in mind that as your stack grows, so too does your storage requirements. So for some people, a simple at-home safe may not be the most practical option. Now, often when we're talking about storage of precious metals in safes, a common question is, hey guys, which kind of safe should I buy, and do you have any particular brand recommendations? Whilst we don't get specific with brand recommendations, there are a few things that you should give careful consideration to when looking at acquiring a safe. 1. Stay away from the bottom end of the market. We've seen so many dodgy safes that provide little to no protection of your precious metals. 2. Give consideration to severe temperatures. Recently, we put a safe to the test which was rated as fire safe. However, it was from the low end of the market, and as you may see in the video, it didn't hold up so well when we put it to the test. 3. Consider what the function of a safe actually is. More often than not, the function of a safe is to slow down a would-be thief rather than stop them in their tracks entirely. Consider the rating of the safe that you're looking at. That's a measurement of time, which is generally used as an indicative timeline as to how long it would take a would-be thief to gain access to your safe. Storing your precious metals at home has a number of advantages. Firstly, you'll hear a common expression in the stacking community, which is that if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And here in Bullion Now, we're big advocates for the idea of taking full control over your stack. Another advantage to the storing at home method, if you're anything like me and you appreciate a beautiful coin design, at a moment's notice, you can go get access to your coins and take a look at them and appreciate them in hand. Similarly, another advantage to storing your stack at home is if in the event that you require immediate access to your precious metals, you can grab them and go at a moment's notice without any third-party involvement. Now, it's interesting to note that despite all of this upside, which sounds great, that upside can also be the single greatest downside, and that is that you are solely responsible for the storage, security, and protection of your precious metals. Now, if you're security oriented and you've got an eye for that type of thing, that could be a great advantage. However, if you're less experienced and not comfortable with storing high value items at home, it can be quite concerning and a little difficult for some people to navigate, and we encourage you to give careful consideration to this option if it's something that you want to explore further. Up next, we have secure dedicated storage vaults. Much like Bullion Now, it provides an added level of security and assurance in terms of storage. However, it's worth noting that in unique circumstances, such as a global pandemic, stores like Bullion Now were considered an essential service and we were able to continue our operations. However, a number of dedicated storage facilities were not able to provide access to their clientele. Something else that's very important to bear in mind when it comes to storage of your stack is who you tell. Now, this might seem like an obvious thing, but it's very important in terms of secrecy that you don't go around promoting the fact that you have precious metals and where it is that you're storing them. At the same time, it's important that you at least tell someone that you know and trust, like a family member or a close friend, because in the event that something were to happen to you, it's important that someone can still gain access to your precious metals. So ultimately, you need to find the balance that works for you between retaining your privacy and secrecy surrounding your precious metals, and also having someone that you know and trust be able to access them. Now that we've touched on what I would describe as some of the more conventional storage options of precious metals, let's take a look at what I would describe as perhaps less conventional options. After a number of years in the industry, you can imagine that we've heard some very interesting storage locations. This ranges from buried in a state forest, buried in the garden. Some people even paint their bars and use them as doorstops. But perhaps one of the most interesting and out there storage solutions we've heard of is people actually building their stack into the concrete foundation of their homes. Although I think it's worth noting that that would be a little difficult to access at a moment's notice. It's important to bear in mind that when exploring any of these quirky and unique methods of storage, that you still maintain total responsibility for your precious metals stack. That is to say, bear in mind if you are burying them somewhere, it's not in a location that's going to be easily discovered. Similarly, you don't want it to be so hard to locate that even if you tell a close relative or loved one where your stack is, that they will be unable to locate it. It's also worth noting that regardless of how you choose to store your precious metals, I always encourage people to consider a location which is cool, dry, and out of direct sunlight. This is to minimize any potential environmental damage which could impact any of your collectible coins. That is to say, coins that have a value beyond the intrinsic bullion content. Putting aside collectability for a moment, one of the great advantages to both gold and silver is that when selling back to a bullion dealer, the condition of your coins or your bars is not actually a factor at all. Here at Bullion Now, we would pay the same price for a brand new bar in a shrink wrap package as we would a bar that's been dug up in the backyard, still covered in dirt. Although please, clean your bars before you bring them in. It's important to bear in mind that everyone's circumstances are unique and there is no one size fits all when it comes to storage of precious metals. So we encourage you to go away, do some of your own research and come up with a solution that suits you best.
And finally, I want to give you a piece which is longer. It's actually 26 minutes long. So again, if you're serious about storing, buying and storing gold and or silver, this might be time well spent. You don't have to, it's up to you. But if you've got it nailed on where you want to store your gold and silver, you don't have to listen to it. But if you want to learn, I think you'd find this extremely educational. So this is focused on safes. And it's not going to cover the other options of the backyard and lockers and so forth. It's only going to focus on safe, but a tremendous education. I know a fair amount about safes, but, I learned a lot. So he goes all the way from, the small safes that, can easily be broken into, all the way to very large safes, and everything in between, pros and cons of each. And then they kind of rate them as to which ones, at least the person viewing it, filming it, is rating it. And then, so you can see, and then they give you the names of the manufacturers that they recommend and the ones they do not recommend. And you can kind of see the best of the worst. And so anyway, I don't want to say more. Everything else is covered in the video. I think, again, highly recommend it. And it's highly educational. Take a listen.
I'm with Bill Dybert of Dependable Lock Service in Nashua, New Hampshire. Thanks so much for inviting me in.
Thanks for coming down.
I'm here to check out some safes, Bill, and I don't know what I'm looking for, but I want to protect my gold and silver.
Okay. I'm a new stacker, thanks to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you watch my channel?
I do, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the stacking
Thank
community.
You. Thank you.
We have a saying that says, if you don't hold it, you don't own it.
Right.
And I think it's important that we hold it right. Sometimes we, might put it in a shoebox. We might rely on hiding our gold and silver.
Yeah.
But at some point, you're going to want to have it really secured.
Sure.
So let's check some of these out.
Okay. All right. Somebody might have a very small coin collection, a few $100s. You'd have a safe like this. You'd bolt it to the floor. You'd be marginally protected. It's a very light duty safe. It's more of a fire safe.
Okay, so what would I put in something like this?
So typically people are putting in car titles, birth certificates, a little cash. But that's about it because it's 60, 80 pounds. It can be stolen, lifted off. You really have to bolt it to the floor. But still, at the end of the day, it can be pried open pretty easily. It's a very, very light duty safe. This is not something you would want to put high dollar value stuff in.
I see.
It's just more of a fireproof box. Here's the thing, you're going to go on vacation and you come home. How would you feel if whatever you had in your safe, whatever safe it is, and it's gone? The safe is gone, the stuff is gone, or just the stuff is gone. Are you just mildly upset, or are you throwing yourself on the floor, like really upset? That's what you got to ask yourself.
My stack, I would be pitching a fit. So
Okay.
I have to admit, how long would it take someone to get into a safe like this?
6-7 minutes. A couple of big screwdrivers. The door is open. It's done.
Yeah, I don't think this is what I'm interested in. So let's go into the next level.
So next one up might be a home safe.
Okay.
They're not really made up for guns, although you could put handguns in them. It's a very good safe. It is a high fire rating, 2 hours.
2 hours?
2 hours, yeah, which is pretty high in the safe.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about fire rating in a little while, but let's talk about from a security standpoint too. What are we looking at here?
It's middle upper on the as far as their security ratings. So it's on the higher side, again, higher fire rating. Just a very nice safe. This safe can be bolted to a cement floor, a wood floor. It can go up, so some people want a safe on a second floor. This usually has no problem going on a second floor. Basement, no problem. First floor, no problem.
Wow, okay. So, open it up for us too.
These have bolts top and bottom.
Bolts.
Live bolts top and bottom. You can see there top, bottom, and side. On the inner edge, there is a dead bar here, which goes behind the frame. Interior hinges, so they are welded in. So to pry the door off, it's going to be a tough challenge. It's probably not going to happen.
How about like cutting through it?
So cutting through, can it be cut through? Sure, and that's the way most safes are open. Most good safes are open by cutting a hole because the door is as this door is very hardened, if you will. you're probably not going to open the door. This has
So they're cutting a hole to reach in and grab what?
to reach and grab maybe the gold. You've got jewelry, whatever.
I see.
So cutting the whole side off, sure, enough time, I guess, but
Still, you're going to need to know what you're doing when you run into a safe like this.
you're going to have to come prepared, and most quick, hey, they broke in because they didn't see the car in the driveway. Those people are probably going to be stopped dead in their tracks.
Now, from a stacking standpoint, I am liking this. I can see a monster box here, some gold, and you can put cash in here too, right?
Sure, it's got a what they call a cool pocket. It keeps when the house is burning, it keeps the temperature from the main body to this, what they call the pocket. It's a 50 degrees lower. Not a lot, but the last thing to burn in the safe if the fire department doesn't show up will be what's in there. Little jewelry accessory container. Yeah.
And where would I put my handgun, maybe? Let me think.
Your handgun.
Right there, maybe.
Right there, sure.
Yeah, really good entry level, very good, I should say.
This is a very
safe.
good safe, yeah.
Nice. And I like the idea that it's very flexible as to where you can put this safe.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, if you had some long guns, right, you could go with this.
So again,
right?
this is a home safe,
Okay.
but this has no long gun.
Okay, so
This
no
is for
long
somebody
gun.
who has. I take it back. They made one
Good.
slot, one
Hey,
slot for one
okay.
gun.
So if you have a small arsenal, you might be
Yeah.
able to, you could put your
Yep,
pocket
couple of handguns.
pistols in there. Yeah.
One gun. Other than that, it's just for storage.
So, Bill, from a security standpoint, what do these safes not have?
Sure. So as you're going to see a little later, these safes do not have a cement inner wall, and they do not have an inner steel wall.
Okay. So these are very good from a security standpoint, but we're going to see better.
Yep.
All right,
correct.
let's go.
Yeah. So we've got two safes that might be of interest to somebody. This is an American Security CSC safe. The difference about this safe is it has a double steel wall. This has a light fireproofing insulation. This has this is very heavy. You can feel that door. It's actually
Oh, wow.
thinner, but that has a heavy steel plate out front with high density cement in the door, in the walls.
Interesting.
So-
So security, fire protection. We're going to talk about fire protection in a little bit, but this is a more secure door.
This is a more secure
feel
door.
it.
You can see the weights. So this is 480 pounds. This is almost 700 pounds, and they're almost the identical same size. So where's that weight going? Well, it's in the fill, in the high density cement fill.
Nice shelving. Interesting. Okay, that's good. Let's move on. How would you rate this now from a better?
So this is definitely better than what we've seen. Not that there's anything wrong with that second one we saw, but these two are better. So back to the super cheap safes that you buy at the big box stores.
Right.
This guy was brought in by a stacker who could not open it. You see the little drill hole there? We opened that for him because he was locked out. He just brought it in because it's really light. We opened that in about 6-7 minutes.
What?
And then he left it here and got a better safe. Once he saw,
Minutes?
yeah.
My word. Yeah, I wouldn't want to put any gold and silver in there. No way.
So you can get a very entry-level safe, and you can get a high-end. This is a Liberty Presidential. This is their biggest safe. This one is almost 1,600 pounds. So when it's put in your house,
It stays in your
it
house.
stays in your house. The bolts are incredibly big. It's really overkill. Just got a lot of room.
A lot of room. Man, look at that.
Someone randomly coming into your house, just trying to do just to come in and do a grab, it's not happening. They're stopped cold on this.
That's impressive. And this would really hold a lot of gold and silver, some other fun stuff, and lead, and there's light. So that is a very impressive safe. Bill, I love it. So
Yeah.
some of these other ones on the left here also intrigue me. They're a little smaller.
Sure.
How do they differ from
Sure.
the right
So
side?
these are, again, Liberty safes. These do not have an RSC rating, so these are perfect for someone who says, I've just got a new gun. I'm a new gun owner. I need to keep the guns away from the kids. I've got a shotgun, maybe a small handgun. Don't have a lot of cash. Don't have a lot of coins. These are perfect. This is the person we're selling these to. If you said, I've got $200,000 in coins, these are the wrong safe. This is definitely the wrong safe. We try to tell people nicely that, because they see a nice price point, $1,300.
Just 375 pounds.
But 375 pounds. So this is a dolly and a pickup truck, and the safe is gone. So weight and secrecy are your friend. So if you've got a lot of dollar value of something, this may not be the safe for you. No. If a customer comes in and says, I've got 2 monster boxes and hey, this looks like the safe for me, I will try to, I don't want to sound like a car salesman that I'm really trying to push them into to spend more money. That's not what we do, but want to be honest that this may not be, when you come home, you want it to be there. This wouldn't put up as much fight as all the others.
Now, Bill, it seems like as we go up in protection, we also seem to be going up in size. Is that necessarily true?
So not necessarily. So let's look at this presidential here. There's 3 sizes. There's a 700-pound difference in steel between these 2 Liberty 50s. Again, presidential, USA series. So they're not the same. They look the same. They're the same size. The doors open the same way. But this one has just massive everything. Not that there's anything wrong with the safe. You're just buying more. You're getting more fireproofing.
Okay.
You're getting more fireproofing by default. And you're getting a more difficult safe to steal or open.
How do we factor in the right safe from a natural disaster standpoint, even a house fire?
Sure. So if the fire department is not going to show up, in other words, everything around you is going to burn down and you've evacuated and there's no one coming with a hose to put it, you want the highest fire rating and hope that the flammables, that the house and the trees around you run out of
Fuel?
run out of fuel before that 2.5 hours. Let's say you're going to put this safe in your basement, any safe, but let's just say this safe, and you're going to put it, the back up right up against the cement wall, this side up against the other cement wall right in the corner. So now it's on the cement floor, so you've got one side on the cement. So you're kind of cheating on the fire rating, because when they put the safe in the burn chamber, the safe is up off the floor of the burn chamber and not against any wall, so the fire can get all around it. Then they do the test, in this case, the 2.5-hour test. However, if it was, they wouldn't want you to put the safe on the floor in the burn chamber because there's no fire coming from there. They wouldn't want you to put it against the back wall, no fire. So you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
You're kind of adding to your fire rating by putting it up against cement walls or building a wall around it. Would increase your fire rating. I don't have any data on that, but it's just, Yankee, did you see the safe when you first came in the building? Did you see
on the
safe
left
that was a little crunched up?
Yeah, I did.
So that's
see
a
that.
Liberty safe. That is their USA line, this is a large version of that safe. You'll have to go out and take a picture of it. But they dropped a 1,000-pound cement block from a 100-foot crane, and the safe did not open. It was crunched up, but it did not open. They also did it with, can I say another manufacturer? Can I say another manufacturer?
Sure, why not, Bill? Go ahead.
They also did it with a Winchester safe, and they dropped the same block from 100 feet, and that safe ended up all over the parking lot. Just pieces everywhere. The inside was out, the outside was in. It was just, so there is a difference. Safes look the same. They have a nice, you can find another brand safe that has a nice paint job and looks the same. It may be half the price, but there is a difference the way it's made. So brands do matter. Yeah.
Wow. Very, very good points there. Oh, I love the bear.
We got the, yes.
That's great.
If you've ever gone in a Walmart and there is a small branch bank or a credit union in the Walmart, Walmart doesn't let them build vaults in there, but they have these.
Is this commercial grade?
These are commercial grade. These are what a bank would have, a coin shop would have, a cash for gold. Somebody storing a lot of cash would have these safes.
Wow, that door is really heavy.
This is a TL30. There's TL15.
Oh, wow.
We don't order the TL15s. We get the TL30s. It's not a big price difference. Might as well get the next one up.
That 30 means
30
what?
minutes. 30 minutes of tool time cutting a 6-inch square hole to get your arm in. Now again, that's 30 minutes of the tool touching the safe. Once the tool is removed from the safe, the stopwatch stops. So
Wow.
it could be 5 hours to cut a 6-inch hole.
You take a break in your house, eat some of the food
Yep.
in your refrigerator,
Yep,
the clock stops.
Exactly. So you got a guy, Bob, and he's big time into collecting coins.
Stacking.
Stacking.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of stacking. He's letting everybody knows he's stacking. All his friends, he just tells people he doesn't even know. All of a sudden, the word's out. The word's out on Bob, and people want to find out who Bob is. Where does Bob live? And it may be a serious effort put into finding out where Bob is and getting Bob's stuff. So if Bob's going to be telling everybody that what he's got, he probably is going to want something like this. Versus
Bob's got to learn how to keep his security
Loose
between
lips,
the ears.
sink ships.
Exactly, right?
So this small safe weighs 1,200 pounds. So taking it is going to be a big chore.
Wow.
This is a TL30X6, which has hardened nuggets.
Hardened nuggets?
Hardened nuggets of steel within the cement mix as they pour it. So somebody trying to cut in is going to hit these nuggets, and so that's the different rating. So these safes are almost identical in size, but there's 200 pounds more of these nuggets within the walls of the safe, all 6 sides. That label right there doesn't look like much, but a coin shop or a cash for gold is not going to get insurance until they have that label. Some people want to have a safe like this and get their items insured, but some people have the idea that they don't want anybody to know. They don't want even the insurance company to know. So, but they want to feel good. They want to go on vacation. They want to leave their house for periods of time. So they're kind of self-insuring by buying the best or the highest level of rating safe, which this is. So if a customer comes in and they say, I've got a couple $100,000 worth of whatever, and I need...
You don't ask them what it is, do
And
you?
I don't ask them what it is. Sometimes people will tell us, but we don't ask. We're not going to ask. I need the best because I need to feel good when I leave home. I'm going to go away and I don't want to be thinking about the stuff I've left at home. So it might be one of these safes.
So what are we looking at here, Bill?
This is an American Security BFX. This is one of the smallest American-made BFX safes. It's 750 pounds. This has a double steel wall with the high-density concrete fill.
Concrete. Why concrete?
Tough. It's tough to torch concrete. So if you're going to bring a torch, it's tough to torch. You've got to grind. If you're going to cut a hole in the side, you need to grind. Then you need to chip. And then that inner steel wall, you need to grind again. It's a lot of work, and that's made that way intentionally. So this is a very small safe, and it's 750 pounds.
So what's it going to take to get into something like this?
It's going to take a guy or a couple guys. It's going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of grinding. The house is going to fill up with smoke with all that metal grinding. It's just going to be a lot of work, and it's made to be a lot of work to open the safe. It's basically a TL10. To open it up or to get a hole in it so you can reach your arm in it, it's supposed to be 10 minutes, but that's tool time, the tool touching or cutting. Wow. And that's only a 6-inch hole. That's not opening the safe up. The door is probably not going to be opened.
Interesting.
So you really have to cut a hole in the sidewall, and that's where the double steel and the concrete come in.
Wow. And then this one, same thing, right? This is a little bit.
This is another BFX. This is slightly bigger. You can see the doors. Of course, it's a bigger door. It's heavier. We're almost at 1,000 pounds.
Okay. Help me with that too. 1,000 pounds. Is that sort of like a rule of thumb from a residential standpoint? Help me to know where I could put something like this bad boy in my house.
So if our movers can tell us, you tell our movers how many steps you have,
Okay.
the door widths, etc. Are the steps wood, or are they they got to know, because
They got to know the lay of the land.
they got to know the lay of
Yeah,
the land.
Right.
So some steps, a lot of people put these in the basement. The movers have gone down with the steps in the safe because the steps coming out of the basement were too weak. So they always check now to make sure that the steps are solid.
So is the floor going to be able to hold and support
So the floor,
something like
a
this?
modern home is going to be able to support 1,000 pounds, no problem. If you can have 5 200-pound people in a room and you're not worried about your floor caving in, you won't worry about the floor caving in with this in a
Now-
modern home.
But that's 1,000 pounds
Yeah.
without all my silver and gold
Correct.
and my guns.
And your 45 ammo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have to factor that in too, right?
Right,
So it could
right.
be more like 12, 1,500.
Sure, yeah.
But
yeah.
so would I put something like this on a first floor?
So many
or
people
even
do.
a second floor?
Well, the second floor could be.
Okay.
The question is, how much do you want to spend? Because the second floor, this safe, now you probably need a rigger to boom it in,
Oh, wow.
in a window, take the window out,
Oh,
boom
my
it in,
word.
lay it on its side. So anything's possible with
Yeah.
enough money to move it. Anything's
Yeah.
possible.
What's a good place to put your safe? Something like this.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of value in secrecy. We have some people tell us that they're building a little secret room, that, you have to do a few tricks to get the fake wall or the fake door or whatever. So secrecy is everything. But if you can't make it secret, you got to make it heavy and you got to make it tough. If we're talking about high dollar value items.
All right, so let's look at this one. And oh my word, we got monster boxes in here.
There you go.
Oh, look at this. So this is, okay, so I'm sorry, this is pretty cool. I love how you did that. Monster box fits really nice there. One up here. This is for your long gun, right? So this opens up.
Yep. So this you can remove. You can remove that. You can remove those shelves. You can have. So this would be the best of both worlds. You can have guns and high dollar value items. Yep.
Ooh, I'm liking this one. Okay.
Made in America. Everything we have here is made in USA.
Nice.
We've gotten away from any of the Chinese stuff. So
Good for you, Bill. That's great. And I do see UL listed.
So this has there are very few safes that have this rating. This is an RSC2 rating. You should be able to see it right on there. Level 2. There's your level 2 RSC. I believe this is the only one, this company, that's why they call this a BF2 versus a BFX. So
Okay.
outer steel wall, high density cement, inner steel wall, but it's almost triple of this. Not quite, but almost triple. Now let's look at this small safe. The weight on this is 1,067 pounds. It is heavier than this much larger safe at 950.
Wow, I'm actually liking this one a lot, Bill. I'm just imagining my silver and gold in here, a few pew-pews on the door. This is a very nice safe.
So when someone says, I really need to have the confidence that when I get home from being away after a week, my gold and silver is going to be there. This safe, you are really at the upper limits. You're really in good hands with a BFX or a BF2. This is the weight is off the chart. This is 1,700 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
This is a BF2, double steel lined, cement filled. We're almost at the bank level. We're almost at a bank safe level.
So short of what we
Short of
discussed
these.
here, the TL rated for banks and
Now you can get one of
businesses.
these this size. We have
man.
we like to keep at least one of these in stock. We do. It's about 3,500 pounds. We can't bring it over here because it's too big, too
Yeah.
heavy.
But this is really next level. This is the best.
Until you get to bank safes.
That's right. Until you get
Until you get to bank safes,
that's best.
you've arrived.
Oh.
1,700 pounds. It's going to be a big project to move it.
This is a beastie to get into your house.
This is a beast to get in. It probably will not be stolen.
And it's basement only? For a resident.
For a resident, first floor may be an option. Not second floor.
Okay.
Basement, more than likely, but first floor, we'd have to see if it could be moved into a first floor.
Very impressive. So from a very good standpoint,
Yes.
I think this is the safe that I would look at. This is great for stacking, right?
Yes.
Long guns, I don't think you're going to put much in here. But you know what? A lot of people still want to just put their gold and silver in here.
Yeah.
So this is going to get my
Stamp of
sticker.
approval?
You got it.
Okay.
If you got to have a long gun, this one's a really good one too. Liberty Safe. Like these safes. And Bill, I love the American security safes. I would have to say this one though caught my eye, and not just because you've got the monster boxes in there though. I think that's a great touch. Nicely done.
Yes.
I'm gonna say this is my number 2.
Okay.
I love that safe. I can see that one in Yankee's house. It's beautiful and it has some great features. So the BF2 American Security gets the second one.
We can have that delivered Friday.
All right. And Bill, from a high-end standpoint, this is the bee's knees. What I think is worthy of consideration on a high end, the maximum amount of security and peace of mind to put your stack. What do you think of that one?
1,700 pounds, it's staying.
It's staying.
It's staying.
All right, Bill, thanks again so much
Thank
for
you.
taking the time and explaining to a newbie like me the right safe for stacking silver and gold.
Easy.
Dependable, lock service. Check them out. You service.
As far as safes, delivering safes, pretty much all of New England.
Wow.
No problem.
So come on in.
Come on in, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. We'll show you around. We'll show you what there is, and
You can see the Yankee stickers.
you
All
can
right.
see the Yankee stickers.
And check out the information for dependable lock service in the description below. And thanks again.
Thanks, Yankee.
Apparently, inflation wasn't transitory after all. Well, I hear that I've listened. I can't quote the people; I don't remember them, but I hear that their inflation is starting to come back, and if it's not coming back, that there's a risk of it. Or I remember who it was. It was Stanley Druckenmiller that I was listening to on a piece that he did this past week, and his comment was he felt like inflation went up and then is coming down, but he believes that it's going to be going back up again. So, he's a credible person. But I personally would count on it. I would not count on 2% inflation, but, I try to stay away from predictions, but that's, in the past, the Fed has a bad track record of predicting inflation. Okay, thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below.